I'm not inviting strangers to the wedding. Does that mean I'm not invited to the wedding? That's what I'm saying. You really don't get it, do you? It's normal not to invite strangers to a wedding, right? Susan, my son's wife, retorted without even looking at me. Sure, I wouldn't invite a complete stranger. But to be rejected like this when we're about to become family. Feeling this rejection, I suddenly felt very cold towards her. And to think, she said this right when she came over to announce the marriage. I couldn't even bring myself to sincerely congratulate them. Okay, I understand. I won't attend the wedding, then. As long as you understand. That's that, then. What's with her? Anger welled up in me before I could even feel sad. If she's going to call me a stranger, then the same goes for everyone else. I wonder how she would feel if nobody showed up. My name is Karen, and I'm 60 years old. I've been married to my husband, John, for 30 years now. We originally worked at the same trading company and got married after a workplace romance. We have 2 sons, but there's a bit of a complicated situation there. I want to marry you, Karen, but I have a child already. I feel the same way. I want to marry you. Don't worry about Michael. Let's raise him together. When I was 30, I received a marriage proposal from John, who was divorced and had a child. I remember being over the moon when he proposed. I thought I wouldn't mind if it was the child of the person I loved. His child, Michael, was in the 2nd grade of elementary school at the time. He was shy, and at first, he didn't warm up to me at all. His aloof attitude frustrated me a bit, but that was because I was serious about being a mother to him. Is there anything you want to eat, Michael? No. Oh, okay. What about pizza or something? I don't care. That was the extent of our conversations. Well, it's understandable that he wouldn't accept a stranger as his mother right away. I decided I had to take my time and gradually build a relationship with him. When I married John, I resolved to cherish this child as my own son. I kept talking to him patiently, waiting for him to open up to me. Even though he sometimes looked annoyed, I didn't give up and kept interacting with him every day. Then, when he was in the 6th grade, my efforts finally paid off, and he started talking to me first. Mom, I'm hungry. Wait. What did you just say? I said I'm hungry. No, not that. Did you just call me something? I called you Mom, didn't I? Finally, my eldest son called me Mom. I'm glad I never gave up on connecting with them. The joy I felt was so overwhelming, I almost cried. And then, a year later, our younger son, David, was born. Michael, now a freshman in middle school and at an age where he'd usually want to play all the time, surprisingly didn't go out to play. Instead, he lovingly took care of David every day. Hey David, why are you so cute? He would say, as they grew up closely together. Despite their age difference and being only half-brothers, I never saw them fight. I'm sure they'll grow up to have a great relationship. As a mother, I looked forward to seeing my sons grow up. After graduating from college, Michael got a job at a major automobile manufacturer. I'm gonna live on my own. Oh, is that so? David will miss you. Well, it's your life. Living alone will be a good experience. Just make sure to come home sometimes, okay? Yeah, I know, he assured me. He always wanted to try living alone, and I didn't oppose it. However, the thought of Michael leaving home made me feel incredibly sad. I mentioned David at the moment, but perhaps I was the one who was most upset. Then came the day Michael left home. I'm off then. Bro, make sure you come back to visit. Don't be so dramatic. I'll come back now and then. Make sure you listen to Mom and Dad, okay? Michael comforted his crying brother. He had grown into such a caring big brother. Hearing their conversation made me feel like crying. Lately, I've been so tearful, maybe it's because of my age. Mom, take care of David and Dad for me. Leave it to me. And you, take care of yourself, all right? And if you have any trouble, call me right away, okay? Hearing my words, Michael smiled reassuringly and left our home. It felt strange not having Michael around, as he had always been with us. That evening, I even made dinner for the usual number of people, still not quite feeling the reality of his departure. It's so quiet without him. I felt a bit down, but I knew I couldn't stay sad forever. From the next day, I tried to get used to life without Michael, not forgetting him, but adapting. Time flies, and before I knew it, a year had passed since Michael started living on his own. I wonder how Michael is doing. If he's not calling, it probably means he's busy and enjoying life. I'm sure he's fine. He's right. Michael must be doing well. Worried about our eldest son who hadn't contacted us in a while and hadn't come home at all, I had shared my concerns with John, but his words had put me at ease. Then, about 3 years later, on a lazy weekend day, my phone suddenly rang. Who could it be on a holiday? Probably just a telemarketer. With a sigh, I picked up the phone, only to see Michael's name on the display. Hello! It's been so long! Are you doing well? Haven't been sick, have you? Are you eating properly? Don't bombard me with questions all at once. Oh no. I got carried away with my questions due to the surprise of hearing from him after such a long time. I'm fine, don't worry. But listen, there's someone I want to introduce to you. Someone to introduce. Could it be? I guessed from the slightly embarrassed tone in Michael's voice. That's a girlfriend, isn't it? Are you? Yeah. I'm thinking of getting married. I was taken aback to hear that Michael had a girlfriend. And was even talking about marriage. I was so surprised I almost dropped the phone, but at the same time, I felt a deep joy. Really? Congratulations! You finally found someone you want to marry. Yeah, that's right. And I was wondering if you're free next Sunday. I'm free. I'll tell your dad too. Thanks. I appreciate it. After hanging up, I immediately told John about Michael. Listen. Michael, he's... What's the matter? Calm down. I can't calm down. Michael's getting married. Really? Is that true? Why would I lie? It's all set. He's bringing her over next Sunday. Make sure you're free. Of course. Wow, it feels like a dream. Michael is getting married. John and I both ended up crying tears of joy. A little while later, I went up to David's room. David, can I talk to you for a sec? What's up? Your brother, he's getting married. What? David dropped his phone in shock. The news of Michael getting married must have been that surprising. I understood how he felt. He's bringing her over next week, so make sure you're free. Okay, I got it. I'm surprised, though. That jerk brother of mine, I thought he was just not coming home for a while, and now he's getting married. David's words were harsh, but his expression was gentle. He was now a college student and hadn't spoken to Michael in a long time. Still, his face showed that he still cared deeply for his brother. This fact alone made me very happy. Then came the day of the introduction. Wanting to make a good impression, the three of us, excluding Michael, decided to welcome them grandly. We arranged for high-end sushi delivery and famous desserts, things we'd never normally have at home. Everything was ready. As we were preparing, the doorbell rang. He's finally here. I've brought her. Okay, got it. I'll open the door now. When I opened the front door, there stood a charming woman. She looked almost like a doll. I almost blurted out how attractive she was. Nice to meet you. I'm Karen, Michael's mother. I greeted her. Let me introduce her. This is Susan, my girlfriend. We're planning to get married. Nice to meet you. After exchanging greetings at the doorstep, we moved into the living room. My husband and David were stiff as statues. John addressed them. Dad, David, you're too tense. I introduced her to Mom earlier, but let me do it again. This is Susan, my girlfriend. Please, get along with her. She's cute. You're marrying such a beautiful woman. Am I dreaming? You're all so funny. I'm Susan. Please, take care of me from now on. Her presence immediately lightened the mood. My husband and David gradually relaxed as we chatted and shared a lavish meal. Oh, is it that late already? Time flies when you're having fun. It was already 6 p.m. Sorry for staying so late. No, it's totally fine. As I talked with Susan, my husband stood up, taking John and David to his room for a serious talk. Left alone in the living room, an awkward silence fell between Susan and me. What should I do? I need to start a conversation. So, when are you planning to have the wedding? Excuse me? Do you mind not speaking so casually to me? Huh? What? What does she mean? Just a moment ago, she was all smiles and now she's giving me cold stares and a curt attitude. Did I say something offensive? No, that can't be it. What's going on? I racked my brain, but couldn't recall saying anything rude. What do you mean by that? I asked her directly. And her reply was shocking. I might as well be clear about this. You're a stranger to me. So, please don't come to the wedding, okay? Huh? Michael told me, you know? He's his dad's son, not related by blood to you. That's true, but I've raised him as my own son, and I considered him my real child. I was furious. How could she say such things to someone she just met? I was so angry I almost lashed out. But Susan didn't stop there. I don't care about that. The fact that you're a stranger doesn't change. Oh, but we'll prepare a seat for the mother-in-law out of formality, so please make up some excuse to be absent, okay? To be rejected like this by someone who's about to become family. Hearing her words, I felt my enthusiasm drain away. Her brusque manner during what was supposed to be a happy occasion made it hard for me to feel celebratory. Fine, I'll do as she wishes. Understood. Then, as a stranger, I'll be absent. As long as you understand. Well, that's that then. Unbelievable. Someday, she'll get what she deserves. Just as our conversation ended, my husband and the boys came back to the living room. How's it going, Mom? Do you think you can get along with Susan? Get along? That's hardly possible. Deep down, I wanted to tell Michael everything that had just happened, but I refrained. Yes. She's a really nice girl, you know? Take good care of her. After saying that, they left as if nothing had happened. Maybe I should have told John and David right then that Susan said, strangers shouldn't come to the wedding. But if I had, John would have likely told Michael immediately. I couldn't bear to upset Michael in his happiest moments. Out of a parent's heart, I ended up not sharing anything. Half a year later, it was finally Michael's wedding day. It's finally here! Hey, David, make sure you're dressed sharp, okay? I know. John and David were all excited since the morning. But as the wedding time approached, my mood kept sinking. Well, shall we head out? We drove for about an hour from our home to the wedding venue. The venue was already filled with many guests and was quite lively. What should I do? I told Susan I wouldn't come. I felt so sick I could hardly stand. As I sat on a chair in the reception lobby to catch my breath, David approached me. Mom? You look pale, are you okay? Yes. I'm fine. Maybe it's a cold. I lied on the spot, but he saw right through it. I hate to say this, but Mom, that's not a cold, is it? What happened? It's not a lie. I've been feeling a bit under the weather since yesterday. How long do you think I've known you? Don't lie and just tell me what happened. David raised his voice at me. I appreciated his concern, but if he's too loud, keep it down a bit, will you? If you're so loud, everyone will stare. Sure enough, people around us started to pay attention. I don't care about that. If Mom's not having fun, Michael will be upset too. Tell me what happened. David insisted, looking straight at me. All right, if you insist that much, I understand. I'll tell you everything. Actually, when Susan came over for the wedding greetings, she told me, "You're a stranger, so don't come to the wedding." And I, in anger, retorted that I wouldn't come. But here I am. What? Susan said that? Then I must be a stranger to her too, right? Most of the people here today are. David exclaimed loudly, attracting attention from the surrounding guests. That's why I didn't want to say it. Now everyone was listening. People who seemed to be friends of the bride were also stirring, with some saying, I didn't think she was that kind of person. Does she think of me as a stranger too? Maybe we should leave too. I actually planned to tell you and Dad that day, but I never got around to it. Got it. There's no need to stay at such a person's wedding. Let's go home, Mom. I'll leave with you. Prompted by David's words, others began agreeing, if the family is leaving, maybe we should too, and started to exit the venue. Hearing the commotion, John came over with the bride's parents. What's going on? Everyone's leaving. It's good you're here. We're leaving too. Susan told Mom not to come to the wedding because she's a stranger. No need to attend such an ungrateful person's wedding. Really? She said that? John asked, and I just nodded. The bride's parents were also visibly angry. As we were talking, Michael and the bride came to see what was happening at the reception. What? Wait a minute. Why are you all leaving? Susan, the bride, turned red-faced and raised her voice as she saw her friends starting to leave the wedding venue. Well, it's all your fault, isn't it? Probably everyone there was thinking the same thing. And then, Susan noticed my presence. Why are you even here? Now that it had come to this, there was no going back. No choice. I'll just have to say it clearly. The sickness I felt earlier had vanished. Probably from seeing Susan. I felt a fiery anger burning inside me. Why am I here? I'm family, so it's natural to come to the wedding. But I did struggle with whether to come today since you told me not to. But don't worry, I've decided to leave. Strangers aren't needed at your wedding, right? As I spoke sarcastically to Susan, voices of support for me could be heard, so it was true after all. Susan really said such awful things to her mother-in-law? Voices of support for me started to emerge, saying things like, it's brave of you to even come under these circumstances. Wait. I didn't say that. Susan boldly lied right in front of the person she'd told. Can't she see everyone here is looking at her with pity? Don't you remember? I remember it very well. Do you want me to recount the whole conversation right here in front of your friends? That's, Susan, the bride, was becoming increasingly cornered. Her friends, parents, and even John and David were staring at her coldly. Meanwhile, Michael seemed unable to grasp what was happening. What's going on? I don't understand any of this. David then spoke up. Don't you get it? Mom was told by her to stay away from the wedding because she's a stranger. That happened on the day she came for the greetings. Michael, how do you feel about someone calling the person who raised you like her own stranger? Finally, Michael seemed to understand the situation. His expression turned from confusion to anger, and then he exploded at Susan. You said that? Are you kidding me? Mom raised me like her own son, even though I was a stepchild. And you treat her like a stranger and tell her not to come to the wedding. Cut it out. That's it. We're getting a divorce. Despite being newly registered as married last month, Michael declared divorce right in front of everyone. Wait, please, we have a wedding to do. If you're so keen on it, do it alone. Sorry, folks, but I can't stand by while my mother is insulted like this. Is it all right if we proceed with the divorce? I'll pay any necessary compensation, of course. Susan's parents said, we don't need any compensation. If anything, we should be the ones paying. Susan, having lost all support, collapsed in her bridal gown. Serves her right. This is what happens when you pick and choose people for such a petty reason as being strangers. Well, there's no wedding happening now. I addressed everyone except Susan. I'm sorry for the inconvenience today, but the wedding is cancelled. Anyway, being treated as strangers, it's probably better if you didn't participate. Maybe you should reconsider your relationship with Susan. After all, she's someone who would drive away even her own family. Oops, sorry, that was a bit too much. I wish you all happiness in the future. Thank you for coming today. I wondered if I had gone too far, but the venue erupted into a standing ovation. Everyone seemed to agree with what I said. Amidst this, I approached the weeping Susan. There was something I absolutely had to say to her. How does it feel to have your life ruined by a stranger? You know, it's all because of the seeds you sowed yourself. Just so you know, Michael is a stranger to you too, since you're not related by blood. From now on, be careful with your words. I'm leaving now. Ugh. Susan, now just a sobbing mess, was unable to respond coherently. And with that, we left the venue and headed home. In the end, what was meant to be a slight against me turned into a grand finale where everyone supposed to attend the wedding didn't show up. The saying words can be your downfall has never been truer. I need to make sure I don't end up like that. Sitting at home and relaxing, I thought about it. A week later, Michael came to visit. Mom, I'm sorry for making you feel bad. I had no idea Susan would say such things. It's okay, dear. It's not your fault. Besides, if I had spoken up sooner, maybe things wouldn't have gotten this bad. I'm sorry, okay? Don't apologize. Oh, right, this. Michael said this and handed me a brown envelope. It was quite thick, but I wondered what was inside. What is this? Susan's parents sent it as compensation for you. $60,000. I can't accept this much. In fact, I don't need it. Please return it. The envelope contained $60,000 in cash. I thought you'd say that. That's why I told them the same, but they insisted I accept it, so I did, gratefully. Please take it, it's also their request. Okay, I understand. I'll keep it then. By the way, what happened to Susan? She's almost disowned by her family now. But, if she works hard and returns the $60,000, she's welcome back. Right now, she's working day and night, at a factory and a bar. Most of her friends have left her, and she seems full of regret, but it's too late now. Michael was right. It's too late to regret now. Michael continues to live alone, but unlike before, he comes home about once a month now. Each time he does, he and David go shopping together. It's heartwarming, almost like seeing them as kids again. Someday, Michael might remarry, and David might get married. I hope their closeness continues forever. That's what I deeply wish for.